Hi, good morning. My name is Dr. Shabana and I welcome you to Scholar School System, back to your level 5. And this module I'm going to teach you is applying health and social care policy, ethics, and law. So today is the introductory session, and the session overview your level 5 egg learns and what the module will cover and the assessments, link to the social prescribing qualifications. Then we'll do a small break and then introduce the purpose and remit of a policy and its relevance in the health and social care practice. A conclusion with exploring a policy paper. That will end our session for today. So the module summary, the module will cover contemporary health, social care policies and legislations from international, national, or regional socio-political perspective. You will evaluate how policies and legislations impact access to and development of service provision as well as effectiveness in improving health and social care outcomes. You will investigate equality and diversity, human rights, safeguarding criminal justice, mental health capacity acts, considering the role of culture, advocacy, choice, and empowerment. To support these theories and concepts of ethics will be explored using case studies to enable discussions of how to respond to ethical dilemmas in health and social care practice. Indicative module structure is available on module Moodle for you. So over these weeks, we'll be doing various topics. Today is a module overview. The next semester, next week, will be brief history of social policy and politics of social policy, and then so on. So you can always go to module handbook for your module and then have a look for all the details. Assessment details is given there, the module learning outcomes are there, a brief overview of the module itself is there. So all the information regarding the assessment, regarding the resources, regarding the content of this module is available in the module book under the module handbook section. Okay. So how our weeks are scheduled? The schedule for every week is available Moodle in the handbook, and each week we have three parts. We do pre-session activities, which could be a discussion, which could be any activity, any task related to the topic of the day. Then is followed by the live lecture slides, and then followed by a reflection period, which is 1 hour session where we can discuss and we can reflect back onto the previous knowledge we gained and then do some discussions on that. Reading resources and all the independent study resources, they are available on Moodle under the reading resources list. Please go and have a look because they're going to be really helpful for you when you do your posters and assignments for this as a module. And the engagement with the reading list mainly with the resources with online versions in your own independent study times, because there's a reminder of learning hours. The 50 hours are guided within the set timetable, but you have to do 250 hours of independent study in order to reach the full potential of learning outcomes and the learning resources. Assessment, you will get detailed briefing on each scheduled lectures, but briefly overviewing it, there's a poster presentation for 10 minutes and then followed by 5 minutes question answer. That poster presentation will be weighed 25% of the overall module weightage, and it'll be mid-semester assignment. So you can expect that deadline within second week of February. Then there'll be a portfolio which will be 300 words, and that'll be 75% of your overall weightage of the module, and that will be end of March because it's an end of semester assignment. Okay. So the poster you'll be doing is going to link to the social prescribing qualification on the module. So structures and cultures within community, understanding the culture of communities. For the certification assessment criteria, describe cultural values within communities and explain what drives cultural changes within the communities. under this program, the module you're gonna do, and it will be evidenced by the academic post to explain the importance of culturally competent practice in supporting quality and diversity. So, can you do this task together, competing the demands and the need for the policy? So, if you are the health minister and having 60 million to spend on new initiatives, what do you choose from the following options? So, work within groups or in in pairs and discuss this. What would you choose and why would you choose that? Then we can discuss it together. What about what practitioners need to know about decision making based on the law? The fundamental principle of law and legislative process, the relationship between the law and policy, the specific provision of statutes and have a direct bearing on particular area of practical practice in question, the relationship between policy and practice guidance, and how and where to obtain further information, support when needed on the legal rules. So these are the fundamental things practitioners they need to know. An overview of legal rules, their primary legislation, which is Act of Parliament, secondary legislation, policy guidance, then practice guidance, which are the codes of practice, and then case law. We do not focus on in the case law itself in this module, but it's important to know as a part of legal rules. Okay, the concept of policy describes what to do and what not to. The policy statements must specify the expected results, the measure of achieving them, and the mechanism method within results expected to be achieved. Characteristic of a policy, a policy should be giving overall guidelines, deciding the boundary, giving instructions, helping in decision making, making clear and understandable, making activity clear and understandable, locating steps and activities, and see the policy paper on childhood. You could see the policy paper on the childhood obviously as an example and have a look if it's containing all these elements. Think in pair, share activity. Can we all discuss together that how is the policy made and how does the law come from? Who makes the law? Who puts the law into practice? We all live in UK, and we all know and we hear the news. What's happening to the on the political side? What's happening on the health side, education side? So, can you think about how the policies are made? We often get to hear that there's a new policy around this scenario or something. So, think about it. How is it made and where the law comes from? So, once you have some ideas, then we can discuss it further. Also, what happens before this policy generation, what happens afterwards, and policy and guidance, and why this is important, health and social care. So, key drivers who make the policy and make the laws are the government's political persuasions, think tanks, lobbyists, and public opinions. Have a break and then we can carry on. The traditional view, green paper consultation documents, the white paper statements of policy, the bill proposal for new law, act law agreed by House of Parliament, then much more here. So you can read about the whole process, the traditional view of making policies and laws under how are laws made on this website, UK Parliament website. So in the UK, the laws are made according to this process. First of all, the proposal stage happens when the green and white paper is formed, then bill stage proposed for new law, then the first reading, the second reading, the committee stage, report stage, third reading, House of Lords, then if started in the Commons or vice versa, considerations of amendments, any amendments if they are being suggested, then the Royal Asset come into notice. So Act of Parliament could be looked upon as skeletons and further defining details and then added by secondary legislation. Government departments then provide further details on how an act is to be understood, interpreted, and implemented. So this is a policy journey, and this is done by the policy guidance and practice guidance manual. The policy journey, an act will always authorize a sponsoring department to issue the policy guidance. For instance, Section 7 Local Authority Social Services Act allows for policy guidance from Department of Health and Social Workers. Practice guidance is not binding but should not be departed from lightly because it represents the department's view of best practice in relation to specific client groups in the act. Other government departments have similar systems for issuing guidance and anticipating codes of practice. An example is neatly next to illustrate. So guidance, policy guidance is the interpretation of law and is binding. So the guidance, when the policy or law is developed, the guidance is everything. It tells you how to do it, how something is implemented, the things you must do, the things you cannot do, can do. Practices guidance not binding, but guidance of how the policy is best administered. It focuses on powers available for practitioners, things they can do with regard to their others' rights, with procedure and process importance. So we can look at the guidance and suspension, permanent exclusion, like school suspensions and permanent exclusion, gov.uk. So we can look at this guidance as an example. Is there a difference between legislation, policy, and guidance? Yes. Policy versus legislation. So the laws can be used to enforce the course of action as a set within the policy, but policy may also may be adopted as a way of fulfilling legislative commitments. So new laws may be developed to enforce part of all of the policy. Policy tend to evolve and adopt over time under review processes, while laws tend to be fixed for much longer time of period. Laws can be amended, but this can happen on a much less frequent basis. Laws are broken down into policy and practice guidance cannot give the answer to all situation cases. Instead, it's detailed framework on which good practice by professional workers can be honed. So reflection points. What do health and social care practitioners need to understand by law and policy from perspective what we have just explored? What should be a focal concern given the merit of legislation that bound, and how do we ensure we are up to date to understand how the laws applies in our practice? Type of policy, there's social policy and public policy. Social policy is the study of social services in a welfare state. Public policies are the policies and action government implement that impact the general public at large. Social policies are policies to do with the education, the policies to do with the health and social care, the policies to do with the everything with to do with the promotion and well-being of human individuals like humans. But public policy could be taxation, criminal law, labor law is to do with public. In social policy is aimed the area of society such as specific marginalized community, while public aim towards general public. Social focus on addressing and resolving social issues such as racial and health disparities, educational, economic inequalities, but public covers government-related action concerning general public at large. Social is essentially a subset of public policy, but not all public policies are social policies. Health, social welfare, housing, education benefits, and these are all the traditional big five social policies focus on. More recently, the concerns about rights and access, diversity and inclusion, identity, equality. So these things are more into concern these days. So there's an activity for you to do. Think about health care or social care issue, and how would you find a policy for the health social care issue. So most documents on government websites are publicly available through the website. So for example, you look for rights of disabled people with certain disabilities. So how would you find the policies? Can you demonstrate it to me if you're able to? Health and social care policy. Health and social care policy focuses on policy issue facing our society, such as providing and financial health inequalities and aging. This modular focus will be health and social care policies as held by the Department of Health and Social Care. Why is it important to understand policy in health and social care? So, if we have accessed the application of health and social care policy, we should know about political environment that underpins the issue in focus. If a policy is not working, we should be able to offer reasons and opportunities to facilitate discussion, decision making, evidence around adopting suggestions in the policy. In relation to professional practice, it's our duty to act in good faith and according to best practice guidance, uphold relevant professional codes of conduct. Claims for damages may arise from negligence, ignorance of law, and the policy guidance is no excuse. So, why is it important to understand the policy in health and social care policy? Continued. So, public organization may take resources into account when considering reasonable under the law. Social care interventions must generally have a reasonable chance of meeting the needs identified in the client assessment. When we read or analyze policy, what are we doing? So policy analysis is a technique to determine that what policy will achieve and has achieved against a stated purpose. So it also involves systematic evaluation of technical political implication of technical political implications, alternative proposed to solve problems, and we can do descriptive analysis of existing and policies, prescriptive analysis related to new potential policies. Policy review task, our plan for health and social care, gov.uk. Look at the Build Back Better, our plan for health and social care. So look at these things and come back with the answers that what do you think about certain criteria. What can we say about the political environment that underpins issue and focus in this policy? Is this policy for certain type of people, and what tangible things does this policy state it will do, against which we can then decide if it's working or not. So session review and next session preparation, we have introduced the module and explored how policies emerge from the law. We have looked into how they locate the health and social care policies on gov.uk site, discussed why policy matters are relevant for health and social care practice, pursued through the policy making to identify what key information a policy document holds. In next session, we'll look at the historical and political trends in policy underpinning health and social care in the UK. And the preparation for the next session, please read the Glasby J 2017 article, Origin of Community Health and Social Care, and it's published under the Journal of Understanding Health and Social Care, page 11 to 34. You'll find this on your reading list. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next week.